Well, I got the money. So I'm not gonna die here. The best thing you could do would probably be to release me now, and I can clean up this mess that you made.
The KGB wants me to turn you over to them.
You know, back in the KGB now gets you nothing. No money, no answers. Hunted. Living in exile.
Do you even feel badly about any of this? Destroying this family, murdering my husband, decimating an entire community. Do you even really understand the pain and suffering your actions have caused? Or is it all just moves on a chessboard for you?
I'm sorry, I have no idea what pain and suffering you're referring to.
You're a government officer, flooding the streets with pure cocaine.
Yeah, am I rocking it up? Am I slinging it on the street corner? See me putting a fucking gun to someone's head, say, here, you smoke this? Look, if these crackheads don't have the self-control to not throw their lives away, you cannot pin that on me.
What's up, party people, man? It's your boy Darren Dickerson here for Discovery and Distrust. We streaming live on the Rick Ross channel. Freeway Ricky Ross letting us do our thing on this channel, man. And so today, man, we thought it made sense for us to really get into Snowfall, right? We bombing Iran, okay? But most people don't even have an idea of what Iran-Contra is. And whenever they talk about Iran-Contra, they never mention the drugs. What's up with that? Why is it that when we talk about Iran-Contra, the drugs are never mentioned? And then let's keep it a buck, right? What did they do with Snowfall? The minute Snowfall started dealing with what was real, it was over. You know what I mean? Sorry about this, y'all. I'm trying to get this thing set up over here so I can be looking at the stream and make sure we doing this thing and looking good and live in real time. Yeah, man, so I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we start using this channel for exactly what it's intended, meaning that we got to start educating and getting the word out. For those of you guys who don't really know me, I am Darren Dickerson, former publicist, journalist, the whole nine. You are watching the Rick Ross channel. We gotta fix that black box. So make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. You know, like and share this video. You will be able to watch some of these shows on Little Rock IPTV. Once we upload it to the channel, and yeah, I'm watching me watching me. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course, you know, stuff always happens when you're trying to flex. Yeah, so I got it on the iPad, watching how this whole thing is going down on the iPad in real time. So, you know, we tweaking the process, we getting it down. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Oh, I can see my little haircut from the back. Yeah, man. So, a lot of people watched the series Snowfall. They didn't really understand, you know, all the context for it, and they made sure that they ended it before it really got into the Rick part, right? Meaning the way Snowfall ended is not Rick Ross's life. You guys know that. Rick Ross is not a drug addict. He's not locked up. He would none of that. You know, I don't think he ever got trapped in a basement with a tiger in Compton. I mean, in Watson on the east side. But anyway, we'll get back to that. But this, what we want to do with this episode right here, man, is that we want to educate you guys. It's not going to be long because this is a Saturday edition, and we're doing this so we can educate you guys on exactly what Iran-Contra is. And so I'm gonna tee up this video, and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna let you hear from some C-SPAN type, individuals who know what they're talking about when it comes
Townsend, in a nutshell, what was the Iran-Contra affair and how did it begin?
Well, the Iran-Contra affair was a scandal that erupted in 1986, 87, under the Reagan administration, involving a really complex web of activity centered around an effort by the Reagan administration to provide aid to the Nicaraguan Contras.
I'm gonna pause it right there because it's important that you understand this was the Nicaraguan Contras, okay? That we were providing arms. America was worried about communists in this part of the world. You know about Cuba, right? But it just kept going. It was an ongoing thing. So the American government was worried that the communists was making their way in through Cuba. Now, if you watch Snowfall, they showed some of this, right? That they was arming these rebels in the Nicaraguan jungle, okay? So now, this is important. The Congress has said, nah, man, leave them people alone, leave that alone. What is you doing, Ronald Reagan? Why are you even involved in that? No, 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 no. The government had told Ronald Reagan and the administration, no, you cannot do this. Do not get involved. You cannot have the money. Like right now, Pete Hegseth, he's asking for $200 billion, right? You're not supposed to execute a war without the approval from Congress, okay? So now, I'm gonna back it up just a little bit, just a teensy bit, okay? And we're gonna get back into this video.
Provide aid to the Nicaraguan Contras, who were rebels who were trying to overthrow a socialist government in Nicaragua. The Reagan administration was devoted to trying to, concerned about what they thought would be Soviet influence coming into Central America because of a socialist government in Nicaragua. They were devoted to trying to overthrow that government. Unfortunately,
Okay, listen close, y'all. Listen close now. This is important. This is important. This is important. They was trying to overthrow that government. Okay? They was trying to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. Regime change. You've been hearing that term, regime change. They wanted to regime change the government. Our government, our Congress was saying, leave them people alone. So they need money. All this comes back to needing money. All right? I'm going to tee this back up. Back it up a teensy bit. And we're going to jump back into this again.
several laws to prohibit the U.S. government from aiding the Contras. So the Reagan administration, some senior officials in the Reagan administration went about an enterprise to raise private funds and channel those funds to the Contras to support their effort to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. And the way they raised those monies was to sell arms to Iran and also raise money from.
Wait, we got to stop right there, bro. Sell arms to Iran. Sell arms to Iran. So they need to raise money to fund an illegal war. So the Reagan administration, the administration that we said was the greatest administration that ever existed. Oh my God, you talk about Republicans, they would say the Reagan administration was all everything. But they needed to raise money. So what did they do? I'm gonna back this up. And and we're going to get back into it.
Raise those monies was to sell arms to Iran and also raise money from other countries and private sources. This was in contradiction to the Reagan administration's stated policy of not negotiating with terrorist regimes or regimes that supported terrorism. And in the case of Iran, of course,
there's a consistency that we see with the Trump administration. There was a stated policy that we don't negotiate with terrorist states. That's been American policy since God knows how long, and now they're trying to say, oh, well, you know, we're going after Iran now today. We're going after Iran now today because they bombed, they kidnapped, they did all of this. They've been sponsors of state terror. So against our own policies, to execute a whole other illegal war, is this all making sense to you? Hold on, man. Let me hit y'all with the logo. Knowledge of yourself, and with the greater knowledge of nature, you must know what is good and what is not. You must know what is finite. You must know that which is material, physical, and otherwise. Man, welcome back to Discover and Distrust. It's your boy Darren Dickerson. And you guys are watching me on Rick Ross, Freeway Ricky's channel. Shout out to Freeway Rick, man, for letting me come on here and do my thing. He's opening up his platform to other creatives. He's allowing us to kind of get on here and share what we know, share information, share knowledge. So today, man, I said, let's get into Snowfall, right? Let's get into the connection between the real Rick Ross and Snowfall, all right? So now I'm gonna go back here. Let's tee this back up, right? So this was, I think this is probably like season 5, something like that. They was, that's when Teddy was beefing with Saint, and they was really trying to, keep this thing popping. But Teddy represents the federal government that was facilitating the drug sales, right? Facilitating the drug sales that was used to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. So now, what did they do? They took, it's so convoluted, bro, that they sold weapons to Iran to fund the Contras. They used the cocaine money to buy the weapon. Are y'all understanding what this is? Play this clip.
Am I slinging it on the street corner? See me putting a fucking gun to someone's head, say, here, you smoke this? Look, if these crackheads don't have the self-control to not throw their lives away, you cannot pin that on me. What fucking world are you living in? What have you been doing besides laundering your son's money and helping him build an empire?
They ain't broke no laws. As far as government concerned, they ain't broke no laws. This their attitude. That they dumped cocaine into our communities that cocaine is what we know as the drug wars. I'm gonna back this video up and make sure y'all hearing all this firsthand, because this is what's been going on.
To raise private funds and channel those funds to the Contras to support their effort to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. And the way they raised those monies was to sell arms to Iran and also raise money from other countries and private sources. This was in contradiction to the Reagan administration's stated policy of not negotiating with terrorist regimes or regimes that supported terrorism. And in the case of Iran, of course, in the early 80s,
you see how they use the term raise funds? What they mean by raising funds, okay, is they sold dope. Isn't it crazy how when they talk Iran-Contra, they never mention the dope? Well, we know the dope was a thing because Freeway Ricky is real. Crack in the system. But as long as they can get y'all to keep paying attention to everything but the dope, look, I'm gonna back this up, man. Y'all gotta, I'm gonna keep backing this thing up like, you know what I'm saying? Girl, you look good once you back the ass up.
An enterprise to raise private funds and channel those funds to the Contras to support their effort to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. And the way they raised those monies was to sell arms to Iran and also raise money.
That's the dope. They raised the money from the dope.
This was in contradiction to the Reagan administration's stated policy of not negotiating with terrorist regimes or regimes that supported terrorism. And in the case of Iran, of course, in the early 80s, Iran had been, as it still does, sponsoring terrorist organizations in the Middle East. And one of them was called, and is called Hezbollah. And it
right there. Hezbollah. Now they trying to make you be afraid of Hezbollah. So at some point, Hezbollah, we was supporting. I keep saying, man, that Freeway Ricky Ross is by far the most culturally relevant and important black man of the 20th century as we come into the 21st century, because this is the dot that's not being connected, bro. We about to send Americans, well, we already got Americans who died. I'm a veteran, so I can talk. We already got Americans who died in Iran, in this Iran skirmish, or whatever he's calling it, excursion, like it's a vacation somewhere. But the bigger thing is that this was a hook that was baited so long ago, I can't even put it into context. And whenever they talk about Iran, they never mention the dope. Never.
had taken hostages, American hostages in Beirut. Contradiction to the Reagan administration's, and the way they raised those monies was to sell arms to Iran and also raise money from other countries and private sources. This was in contradiction to the Reagan administration's stated policy of not negotiating with terrorist regimes or regimes that supported terrorism. And in the case of Iran, of course, in the early 80s, Iran had been, as it still does, sponsoring terrorist organizations in the Middle East. And one of them was called, and is called Hezbollah, and it had taken hostages, American hostages in Beirut. So this complex scheme where the Reagan administration officials were negotiating with Iran, agreeing to sell them arms in exchange for the release of these hostages. Some of the funds from those sales and other fundraising activities were then channeled to the support of the Contras. So that's what the.
You see how they never mention the dope? You see how when they talk about this, they never mention the drugs that were flooded into black communities? Yeah, so man, this your boy Darren Dickerson, coming to you live on Freeway Ricky Ross's channel. One of the things that, you know, I wanted to make sure that we were doing with this channel is talking about, you know, what's real. Because this is what's real. All right? This is what they've been doing. And now we getting ready to continue having this conversation from the Freeway Ricky Ross black community perspective, because it is a fact that we sold weapons to Iran. We were trying to support and engage in regime change in Nicaragua, and to get the money up, we flooded the streets with cocaine. That's your history lesson for the day, boys and girls. It's your boy Darren Dickerson coming to you live on the Freeway Ricky Ross channel, LittleRockIPTV.com, InglewoodIPTV.com, SoCalIPTV.com. We got all of your favorite stuff in one place. Tap in, check us out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, baby. Knowledge of yourself, and with the greater knowledge of nature, you must know